to At Home and Social. I'm Katie Darrell, and joining me today is Josh Abbott of the Josh Abbott Band. How are you, Josh?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It is great. Now, you're in Texas right now, right?
Yes, I live in Austin, even though I'm from Lubbock, and the two are kind of rivals in ideology and colleges and everything. But my wife's born and raised here in Austin, and I love the central location and the weather, so that's where I am.
Hey, it's always cool to live someplace where people encourage you to be weird. So keep
Yeah,
Austin weird, right?
it is kind of nice. I can do some weird stuff, and no one judges me.
Well, hey, congratulations. Speaking of weird, you have an album. Yay. You're a weird
Yeah,
musician, right? Not at
yeah.
all.
I'd say the weirdest thing about putting an album out is the year we've had. You
It,
know.
it, it is a hard time. I mean, talk about having to roll with the punches and release music in such a weird fashion, correct?
Yeah, it has been difficult. We recorded this album in June of 2019
Oh,
and we got it mixed and everything. And we were planning on an early 2020 release. Then we were like, you know what? We've been working a little more U to radio. How about we just put one song out? And I was pretty adamant about what song it would be because we put out The Luckiest in May. And the reason we did that is because my wife and I were pregnant. She had a baby boy in June, and we waited till birth to find out gender, but we knew if it was a boy, his name would be Luck after that song. And so we released that song, and I was just hoping, like, right, I'm hoping I have a baby boy, because if I have a girl now, got to figure something else out. But we put that song out, and then, of course, you know, now the album's out here in November, and what a crazy year. We just never knew the timing. You know, what's a good time to release an album when you're not touring and the whole world is focused on a pandemic and an election and all this craziness. So
yeah, and
hopefully
it's
we'll be
interesting
able to get
because
through the noise.
as much as like you can't tour and it's hard to support the album, you do almost have this new captive audience though, right? Because since people are at home, I mean, they are certainly surfing the internet
Sure.
quite a bit.
Yeah, there's probably some validity to that. You know, it'll be hard to correlate that, I think, unless when we get back to touring in 2021, we see massive crowds come out singing all of the new material,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of the goal. So we finally reached a point where I was like, I can't wait any longer. I'm so proud of this album. It is the best record we've made to date. I know some of our older fans would argue with some different albums, but that's what fans do. But in terms of quality, song to song, this is our best pound for pound record. And I was like, I got to put it out. I cannot sit on this thing anymore waiting on the world to normalize.
Well, the album is called The Highway Kind.
Mhm.
And, you know, you are known for having a lot of personal songs or sentiments in your music. What are we going to find here on The Highway Kind?
Well, the album, I think definitely when you listen to it, hopefully listeners will come away with a couple um, observations. One, I'm in a really good place right now. And two, I can't write a sad song to save my life. So that's where we're at. I mean, I've always written about personal stuff. And when we've even chosen songs that I didn't write, typically they were, you know, songs that still felt like something I could have.
Right.
I'm in a really good moment right now. You know, my wife and I, we love our life. We've got these two kids now. And I think losing my dad in 2017, 2 months before the birth of my daughter,
Yeah.
right, there was a transition there that really finalized, I think, my growth as maybe a responsible man. And so anyway, maybe I'm rambling right now, but I think when people listen to this record, they're going to get some bangers. They're going to get the love songs, but everything they listen to is just going to be an upbeat, feel good, make you smile about life song.
And your music, obviously being from Texas, people, it's easy to say, oh, it's, you know, you can hear Texas in it, but you can. And you've actually complimented other artists to say, oh, they may not be from Texas, but they definitely have a Texas sound, or you could think that they, you know, were from Texas. What does that mean? What does
Yeah,
that mean?
it's a great question. Uh, you know, I always joke around and say the biggest difference between Texas country and Nashville is down in Texas, we don't put our face on T-shirts. You know, when you go to like Alan Jackson or Luke
Yeah.
Bryan or whoever, they always have a shirt with their face on it. I think it's kind of neat. Maybe I should do that, but
Yeah.
I'm not good
Grow
looking
a
enough to
mullet
put
though
on a
too. It's got
shirt.
to be a real good picture.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, joking aside, I think obviously the Texas country scene, um, for the most part, embraces a little bit more of the traditional aspects of country music. Now, you're still going to find some modern sounding stuff, and you're going to find some real rock driven stuff, but I just think there's a clear difference when you listen to melodies and hooks, with what you hear in mainstream radio and what you hear in Texas. And we've always tried to flirt that line in the middle. You know, we've always tried to be like, okay, this sounds like a Texas country song. Let's push the envelope a little bit and see if we can get national radio to play it. And it's worked for us a couple times, but it is really hard to balance that out.
For those of you just joining us, I'm Katie Darrell, and we are at home and social with Josh Abbott of the Josh Abbott Band. The new album is called The Highway Kind. And, you know, it's just fun to put out new stuff, right? Does it feel like Christmas, you know, being like, okay, I'm giving out presents because I'm giving out music and this is exciting? Or do you have total anxiety?
Yeah, well, no, I don't have anxiety over it at all. I think uh, I sent this record before we put it out to a lot of my friends in the music industry. I don't want to just name drop, but a bunch of lead singers and people, names you would know. I sent it to my family, my mom, my brother, my cousins. You know, I sent it to some college friends. I say all that because every single one of them, unsolicited, when they replied after listening to it, was like, dude, that's your best song you've ever done. Or I love that song. That's probably my top 3 song ever. I think this is your best album ever. When you get that kind of feedback from people that have been intimate with your music for so long, it makes you excited because you're just like, okay, I can't wait for the fans to hear this. Let's see how they're going to react to this, because it's exciting that maybe our 6th album is our best one yet. I think
Yeah.
that's motivating to continue going down this road.
And let's talk about the band, right? It's not just about you,
Sure.
Josh. It's not just you. There's 7 guys, right? It's 7?
Yeah, I
A lot of
think,
personality to juggle.
yeah, we've got a lot. So we recently lost our fiddle player. He left to go pursue a couple other avenues in music, and so we've got a replacement fiddle player now. But my banjo player was my fraternity brother in college, and our drummer, he's been playing with me since the mid 2000s. Our drummer joined in 2008. Our guitarist joined in 2010. And then our keys player joined the band in 2015. So that really rounded out the band. And then now we've even added an extra electric guitarist. So we've got a big group up there. Every now and then we'll play shows where we bring a 3-piece horn section
Oh, wow.
to play in the background. And then every now and then also we'll bring a couple stringed instruments to play in some songs. So there's been times where that stage has had 12 or 13 musicians, and a lot of my buddies down here give me hell for it, but I love the fullness of how that sounds when it's done right.
Now, you can't plan a full-blown tour right now because of the pandemic, but are you testing out the streaming concerts, the drive-in concerts, any small intimate venues with the social distancing involved?
Yeah, well, you know, in Texas, I'm not sure where you are. Where are you at?
West Hollywood, California.
Oh, baby.
It is
You
very
live in
different out here, but
very different.
listen, I lived in Texas. I did like 6 years. I lived in Texas, in Dallas. So
I'm
I get
not
the
going to
mentality.
judge you. I mean, I know that Texas and California have a kind of a thing, and we're very different. But I've always enjoyed my time in Hollywood, and I get a little extra bougie when I stay out there. In fact, my wife says there's normal Josh, and then there's L.A. Josh.
Yes. Get a
What
little
was I saying?
rhinestone cowboy action going.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll cruise down in like some sort of convertible down Santa Monica or whatever it is that
Sunset.
runs through. Yeah, and there's a couple boutique hotels I love staying at. Okay, I'm rambling. In Texas, you know, being a Republican-led state and the philosophy behind that being less governmental control, you see a lot more of Texas opening up as opposed to the rest of the country. Where you are, there's still nothing open.
No.
Where we are, there are still concerts happening. So fortunately for us, we're able to pick up 2 or 3 shows a month.
Okay.
As you know, typically in the past, we would tour 2 to 3 times a week. So There is a significant drop off still, and we're definitely not touring really outside of Texas because there's just not a lot out there. But fortunately for us and what we do have some sort of small window to, provide some sort of revenue stream that has been a huge plus for me and the guys, who have all been on unemployment for most of this year. So getting that extra little bit of cash here and there has been huge for us. And I do the live stream stuff too, but there's just something so impersonal about it. And the whole point of music is that shared community, and that, when you deliver something and fans have gratitude for it and they reciprocate by, applauding you, there's a relationship there between artist and fan, and you really lose that. It's obviously doing, online and stuff on your phone, but it is the world we live in. So it's interesting.
Let's go ahead and play a game of Rock and Tell. Rock and Tell is like show and tell, but with music memorabilia, and I want to see what you got.
Okay, so first of all, what I wanted to show you, I didn't have, but I back in my hometown of Lubbock, it represents the whole panhandle in West Texas. There's a thing called the Walk of Fame. Buddy Holly's in it, and pretty much anybody who's made it in music and the arts that come from that part of Texas gets inducted, and I was inducted a couple of years ago. That was a big honor for me. So even though it's not some big national Grammy award, it means a lot to me because it's where I'm from, and it's kind of a tip of the cap that I've done well. But I don't have that plaque to show you. So what do I have to show you? Okay. First of all, I've got this record. This is the Bobby Fuller 4. And I don't know if you're familiar with Bobby Fuller, but he was from the El Paso area and cut a song of Buddy Holly's that Sonny Curtis wrote. It's called I Fought the Law. Now, everybody knows Buddy Holly's version, right? Yeah. And then, of course, The Clash did it years later. But the version that was actually on the radio and went #1 was Bobby Fuller. Cool. He moved out to LA, got a record deal, started dating the wrong girl. Apparently, there's a lot of conspiracy theory about it. She was hooked up to the mafia at the time. They found his body in his car, and they had held him down, broke his knuckles, and shoved a thing of gasoline down his throat. And he died of asphyxiation. Sure. I'm not trying to get dark here. Happened in Hollywood, you can still look it up. It's one of Hollywood's most highest profile unsolved murders. Okay.
Wow.
This was a record from his family because they're my family. This was my dad's cousin.
Oh, wow.
And so I actually inherited some really cool Bobby Fuller memorabilia, records, newspaper clippings and things like that. So it's kind of a part of our family history that's really fun, and it always seems to be an interesting story for people. So
well, I mean, I feel like we buried the lead and shit. Who cares that you have a new album? Let's talk about this. But
it's fascinating. I want to do a documentary on it. I swear it would be so great. But so this means a lot to me because it's old school and cool. Great. Behind me here, I'm gonna take you off my little thing here. All right, so behind me here is a Willie Nelson original painting by an artist in Austin, and he's phenomenal. And I've had this painting for years. It's my favorite. My daughter now knows who Willie Nelson is because of this painting. She comes in here, there's Willie. One day she'll put it together, right? Artwork is a big thing for me. And so that same artist that painted that, when I was doing live streaming, to go back to what you were asking me about, when I did live streaming in March, he took a screenshot and then he painted me performing on Facebook with the Willie Nelson painting in the background. So really cool stuff. A different artist.
And then you got to hang that one behind you for the next one, and he'll paint a picture of you in front of the picture.
Then it'll get real Inception. Yeah. This is one of my favorite paintings. That's Biggie wearing a Texas Tech shirt, which I don't think he ever did, but that's artist freedom, right? And That's another artist here in Austin.
You know what? That the crown that he wore, that was one of his last photographs, professional photographs taken, and they just auctioned that crown off just a couple weeks ago, and it went for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I guarantee it. I'm a big Biggie
Burger King
fan. That
crown.
probably surprises people. I'm rolling around in my truck and I'm like, I'm going back to Cali. Anyway, that's my guy. Real quick, I know you don't want to see everything, but right here, I wrote a song for my wife that has not been released yet. And it's the song that I played for her at our wedding. Well, a friend of mine that was at the wedding asked if I'd send him the file. He sent it to some company who did a sound wave, and it comes with an app. And when you hold the app and the screen to the thing, it actually plays the song.
Wow.
So that's really fun. And then a couple more things. I hope I'm not
Please.
showing you too much, but I feel like a kindergartner now. Okay, I'm going to reverse this camera, old man here. So this is a record player. This belonged to my great-grandmother, my dad's grandma. And what's really significant about this was from about 1955, I think, is when we dated it. I restored it, but what was really cool is when I restored it, I didn't have to replace any of the wiring, any of the speakers, any of this. The only thing I had to adjust was the turntable. Even the, whatever this is called, is
the thingamadoodle.
Yeah, the thingamadoodle is original. And so I love this record player because I'm listening to it. But guess the coincidence here. Bobby Fuller, who I told you about before, this was his side of the family. This was his grandma. So I know that he listened to vinyl on this vinyl player.
Yeah.
And lastly.
Oh, what a beautiful piano.
Thank you. It wasn't blue. Obviously, it was originally brown. This was also my great-grandmother's. So I like to think that Bobby Fuller played this a little bit. When I inherited it after my dad died, I took it to a guy who restored and replaced the keys and replaced the brass. And then I had someone else painted this chalk blue. But we didn't have to replace anything in the inside. So all of that's still original. So yeah, obviously music is a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for everything that's happened from it.
So cool. Well, the new album is The Highway Kind. We're really excited here at Access TV for it. We love country music. We love your vibe, love your band. So thank you for talking to us today about it. I really appreciate it.
You're too cool. Thank you. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, stay safe as well. Bye, Josh.
All right, bye.